I just released the new TattApp update, so I'm going to go over the features that were updated. TattApp is going to work the exact same way it's always worked. However, what you'll notice is there is now a new button right here that says Practice. Now, if you press this button, the top tray will turn dark, and this will say Pro Mode. Pro Mode brings back the old multiply feature. I'm going to select black, and let me just select a 15 curved mag. So here I've just done a few sweep strokes with the black. The first thing you're going to notice is you can't undo. There's no undo in Pro Mode. So like doing an actual tattoo, if you put some needle marks into the skin, you can't go back and undo them. You can't erase them. They're in there. So that's the first feature you'll notice about Pro Mode. So let me go ahead and darken this up. The next feature of Pro Mode that you're going to notice is if I select a lighter shade of gray, and then I go over the top of this black, when I release, you're going to see that it's going to blend them a lot better. In tattooing, light colors do not cover dark colors, so they don't paint over the top in an opaque manner. So that's really the main feature of Pro Mode, is bringing back that old multiply feature. Now it's not perfect. Here I'm going to use white here, and I'm going to go over the black, and it works pretty good over black, but where you're going to see discrepancies is over the mid value colors. Notice this white covered that light gray. If I've got some light gray here, and then I take some white and go over the top of it, it kind of blends it, but it doesn't work all that great. So I'm dealing with the limitations of the iOS software here. So there's not a whole lot I can do about that. The iOS software offers some pre-made multiplication features. It's mainly, I've noticed, in these much lighter value colors. Now this mode works good in black and gray. It doesn't work so great in color, and I'll show you that in a second. So if you're doing like color packing techniques, let's just do some black, and then I'm going to go up in value to some gray. So you can see it does the blend operation after you're done with your stroke, which kind of simulates, when you're putting the ink in the skin, there's a big blob of ink there. You can't see really what you've done until you wipe the ink away. That's kind of what this reminds me of, is you can see the ink over the top of it, but as soon as you wipe it away, you can see your result. So that's kind of fun. So this works good in black and gray. Now, the nice thing is you can jump back and forth between Pro Mode and Practice Mode. So once you go back to Practice Mode, granted, you're not going to get that multiply feature. However, what you will get back are your undos. Once you go into Pro Mode, your undos are gone. They start over. And they start over once you start drawing. Notice I haven't started drawing yet. If I go back into Practice Mode and then I undo, I still have my undos. They're still there. But once I go into Pro Mode, when I go into Pro Mode, once I draw, so here I just drew, and then I go back to Practice Mode, I don't have my undos anymore. So be aware of that. You lose your undos once you go into Pro Mode and you draw. Your undos will start over. Now, eventually, hopefully in a future update, I can add undos to the Pro Mode. Just right now, it's just really complicated. It's really complicated process that this is going through to introduce that multiply mode. So trying to keep track of the undos is a little unwieldy at the moment. for me. So maybe eventually I'll be able to implement that, but for now, this is how it works. So let's take a look at color. You're going to notice that working with color doesn't quite blend as well. For example, let's just take a look at this cheek area right here. Let's start with a dark value color. Just black is fine. Actually, let's add a little bit of this reddish purple hue to it. So now we've got this dark reddish purple hue. I've got a 15 curved mag. Let me just do a sweep right through here. That works fine. Now let's start going up in value. So let's use this one here. Notice that the colors are starting to burn a little. This is something that is specific to this blend operation that the iPad is doing with the blending of the colors. There are different blend modes, just like if you've used Photoshop, there's different blend modes that have different effects. This particular blend mode works best when we're trying to maintain our dark values going over with light values, which it's doing. However, with color, it's almost multiplying them together too much and creating too much saturation. Because look how much saturation is in this area now compared to this sampled color that I'm using. This does not have a lot of saturation, whereas this does. So this is one drawback that I've noticed. Like, look at this, using these lighter colors. It's just, everything's getting more saturated. It's getting brighter. So that's one thing you got to be aware of if you're using the blend mode with color, is you're not going to get a good representation. I'm not sure if that's something I'm going to be able to fix or not. Like, I'm not sure if I'm able to combine blend modes. It's something I'll have to experiment with. So just be aware right now that is a limitation on this new update on this blend mode. So for this particular piece, when I'm doing color, I would probably do the majority of it in practice mode and just work my colors, you know, next to each other. It's clearly not a very realistic simulation, being able to use these lighter colors in this manner. But it's still good practice. I'm still using the technique of putting my colors next to each other and letting the edges kind of blend a little. The only difference is the way I just did this was I went from light to dark. And normally when I'm tattooing, I go from dark to light. So just be aware of that limitation. Hopefully I can use a better blending method to get better results. But for now, this is what I was able to achieve. I've had a lot of requests to bring that multiply mode back, so hopefully this at least helps satisfy that craving. So with that being said, thanks for using TattApp, and thanks for watching this video.